Tesla finished charging 7 hours ago. That means the battery has been sitting at peak voltage all night. Nothing looks wrong. No warning appears. But those extra hours at full charge slowly age the pack. Over time, that habit quietly chips away at battery capacity and resale value. For clear Tesla advice without the forum noise, consider subscribing. Charging to 100% every night. Lower your daily charge limit. Many Tesla owners plug in at home and leave the charge limit at 100% because it feels like the safest option. Full battery every morning, maximum range available, no surprises. But lithium-ion batteries don't like spending long periods at their highest voltage. When the battery sits at full charge, every cell inside the pack is operating near the upper edge of its voltage range. The car can handle it, but the chemistry inside the battery ages faster when that condition repeats day after day. Tesla actually addresses this directly in its official documentation. The company recommends keeping the battery below full charge for daily driving and using 100% only when additional range is needed, instead of charging to full every night. Adjust the charge limit to around 80%. Most daily driving uses far less energy than owners expect, and the middle portion of the battery is where lithium-ion cells remain the most comfortable. The practical benefit is simple. The battery spends less time sitting at peak voltage while the car is parked. Over years of ownership, that small adjustment reduces unnecessary chemical stress and helps the battery maintain stable capacity for longer. Letting the battery sit full overnight. Finish charging closer to the time you actually leave. Many Teslas reach their charge limit sometime in the middle of the night and then remain parked in the garage for several hours before the next drive begins. Think about a common routine. The car finishes charging around 1 a.m., but the driver leaves for work at 8 a.m. That means the battery spends roughly 7 hours sitting at its highest voltage while the vehicle does nothing. Everything appears normal on the screen, and the car won't display any warning. But lithium-ion batteries age differently than most people expect. They experience the most chemical stress when they remain at the extreme ends of their charge range for long periods. In other words, it's not just the percentage that matters, it's how long the battery stays there. Tesla actually addresses this in its official range guidance. The company recommends avoiding leaving the battery near either very low or very high charge levels for extended periods whenever possible. The solution isn't complicated. Use scheduled charging or scheduled departure so the battery reaches its target charge shortly before you plan to drive. Instead of finishing hours early, the car times the charging session to complete closer to departure. The benefit is subtle but meaningful. The battery reaches its charge limit and then immediately starts being used instead of sitting idle at maximum voltage. Over hundreds of nights, this small adjustment reduces the amount of time the pack spends at its most stressful voltage level, helping the battery age more gradually over the life of the vehicle. Charging faster than necessary at home. Lower your charging current if your Tesla sits plugged in overnight. Many home setups allow the car to charge at the full 48 amperes, and most owners simply leave it there. That setting works, and the car is designed to handle it. But maximum speed isn't always necessary for everyday charging. Here's the reason. Higher electrical current pushes more energy into the battery in a shorter period of time. When that happens, the battery naturally produces more heat during the charging process. Tesla's thermal management system regulates the temperature carefully, but higher charging current still creates a slightly warmer charging session. Now think about the typical routine. The car is parked in the garage for 8 or 9 hours while you sleep. In that situation, the battery has plenty of time to refill even if the charging current is lower. Instead of always charging at 48 amperes, consider reducing the current to something closer to 32 amperes. Tesla allows you to adjust the charging current directly from the touchscreen or through the Tesla mobile app. The practical benefit is simple. The battery receives energy at a slower, steadier pace while still reaching the target charge level by morning. Over the long term, that slower overnight charging pattern keeps daily heat generation slightly lower and makes the charging process more gradual. It doesn't change how the car performs the next day, but it aligns the charging speed with how most people actually use their Tesla parked overnight, quietly recharging for the next drive. Running the battery too low too often. Avoid letting the battery drop into very low percentages as part of your normal routine. Many Tesla owners occasionally drive down to single digits without thinking twice about it. The car can handle it, and Tesla builds a safety buffer below the visible percentage. But regularly operating the battery near the very bottom of its state of charge places the cells closer to their lowest voltage range. Here's what that means. As the battery level approaches very low percentages, the voltage inside each lithium-ion cell also drops. The battery management system carefully monitors this and protects the pack, but the chemistry inside the cells still experiences more strain when the voltage sits near the lower edge of its operating window. An occasional low battery isn't a problem. Long road trips and unexpected detours happen. The issue appears when running the battery below about 10% becomes a daily habit. Instead, try to keep most of your driving within the middle portion of the battery's charge range. For many Tesla owners, that means using roughly 20% to 80% as the normal operating window during everyday driving. The practical benefit is simple. The battery avoids both extremes, the highest voltage near full charge and the lowest voltage near empty. Over years of ownership, staying in that middle range creates a more stable pattern for the battery pack. The cells experience fewer deep discharge cycles, which helps maintain consistent capacity and keeps the car's range behavior predictable as the vehicle ages. Ignoring charging timing in cold weather. Finish charging closer to the time you plan to drive during cold weather. In winter, many Teslas still follow the same overnight charging routine used in warmer months. Cold temperatures change how the battery behaves. When the pack is cold, lithium ions move more slowly inside the cells. The battery management system compensates by limiting power, and drivers sometimes notice reduced regenerative braking or slightly higher energy use at the start of a drive. Tesla manages this with its thermal management system, which can warm the battery when needed. Charging itself also helps bring the pack closer to its normal operating temperature. This is why timing matters. If the car finishes charging many hours before you leave, the battery gradually cools back down while the vehicle sits parked. When the drive begins, the pack may still be colder than ideal, and the car has to spend energy warming it again. Instead, use scheduled departure or schedule the charging session so it finishes closer to when you actually start driving. That way, the battery completes charging while the system is already managing temperature for the upcoming drive. The practical benefit is smoother battery performance when you begin your trip. Regenerative braking returns sooner, and the battery is already operating closer to its preferred temperature range. Over time, this habit keeps your winter charging routine aligned with how the car manages temperature. It doesn't change the battery overnight, but it helps the system work the way it was designed, warming, charging, and driving in the same natural sequence. The simple home charging routine. Set your charging routine once and let the car do the rest. Most battery wear isn't caused by a single mistake. It's the result of small habits repeated every day. Start with the charge limit. Keep daily charging around 80% for normal driving. That level gives plenty of range while avoiding the highest battery voltage. Next, adjust the timing. Use scheduled charging or scheduled departure so the battery finishes charging close to when you leave. This keeps the pack from sitting fully charged overnight. Then slow things slightly if you don't need maximum speed. A steady overnight charge works perfectly for most owners. And try to keep daily driving within the middle of the battery, roughly 20 to 80%. Over time, that simple routine keeps the battery operating in the range where lithium-ion cells remain most stable. If you appreciate clear Tesla advice without the forum noise, subscribe for more no-fluff Tesla ownership insights.